Hey, and welcome back to yet another tutorial video about Unreal Engine. So, as mentioned in my last video, I did talk about making your own interaction system, and if you guys would like to see me do it. And after the video, I did have two people reach out to me asking if I could do it, so that's what this video is about. I'll give you a brief example of what we're going to be making. So I did make a small blueprint mesh here that you can look at. When you look at it, it turns green. When you look away, goes back to its original color to demonstrate that you can do anything while you look at it. If you interact with it, it displays a nice sound and says hello in the top left corner of the screen. So instead of just making a generic interaction system, I want to do something different and make your own interaction component, which you can add onto any character or controller and makes it much more modular. And yeah, you can use it almost with any system, any packs that you download off the internet. So yeah, let's get started with it. Alright, so for this project I'll be making a new one and start from scratch. So for this specific tutorial you won't need Bound Framework since that already comes included with a similar component for interaction. So, and for this one I'm going to use the third person template, which is called interaction system, and let's create it. Right, so let's start off with making the folder structure. I'll just call this one blueprints. Then the first one will be components. So be enums, interfaces, and for good measure we also make a for actors for a master. So I'll first be setting up the blueprint classes. So we just open them, but we don't go first into them. We just set everything up first. This will be BPC underscore interaction, stands for blueprint component, and underscore that it's for interaction. We open it and we just dock it here, but we leave it for now. So for enums, we make a new one. You can find in blueprints, enumerations, E underscore interaction type. We just open this and set this up first. You can add more if you want. I'm just going to use the first one, which is called default, just default interaction, and a second one we just call inspect for now. So you'll see later on why it is useful and why we use this. I'm just going to use two so you can see the system works. And then for interfaces, we make a new blueprint interface. We call this BPI for short for blueprint interface interaction. Right, let's open it. So for the first one we call this on interact. Second one will be focused. This will be logic for when you look at an item, so you have to focus on an item. On interact, self-explanatory, which means if you're interacting with an object. And the third one will be get camera. And for this one we do need to make a variable here on the outputs. I'm just call it main camera, which will be of type camera component, which is this one, camera component. Then compile and save. And then we go on the character first, which in this case will be third person blueprint, third person character. We're going to add the interface here, which will be BPI interaction. And then on interface, you see a get camera node here. So we can get the camera from the player character. So we're going to double click that. And then on the left, by default, you see your follow camera. Just going to drag it out. And then attach this to main camera. So we can use it later on in the component. So let's get into the component. We don't need event tick. So first off, we want to get a line trace going to see whether or not you're looking at an item. So we're going to make a new function. I'm going to call this trace actor. We're going to open it up. So to start off, you're going to drag out from the and then type get camera, which will be the interface you just made and where we added it to a character to get the camera. So for the target, we're going to use get player character. And off here we drag immediately a line trace by line trace by channel. And then also off this camera, so now we have the camera. And we say get world location. If you're not sure if this works or not for you, to test this out, you can just copy this on event begin play. Use a print string. You can use it as valid or just attach it directly. And then also don't forget to add the component to the character, otherwise it wouldn't work. So on the begin play, you would see immediately the displayed name. So in this, you see BP third person character. And then, what is it called again? The follow camera. So you could see it in the top left here, follow camera. So you know the system works. So you can then remove it afterwards. So to get back real quick where we left off, get world location, and then get forward vector. And then for the get forward vector, you want to multiply this with the interaction length. So we're going to make this a float. And we're going to drag this off and make this a variable. I'm just going to call it interaction length, which means how far how far you can see an object with the line trace. So as my experience, I think around 300 to 50 is good. So let's just use 300 for this one. And then off this node, drag it out again, multiply, and you want to multiply it with the world location. And then make this straight, and then add this to the end. For the start, you want to just get the world location and drag it onto the start. Also good to know, you can, on draw debug type, you can just have it on for duration, but you can also just make a variable, debug, make it instant editable, so you can directly edit it on the character. So if you go to the character and on the component, you can then set the debug to for duration, persistent, or for frame, so you can test it out in case you have problems. So afterwards, you're gonna branch this off to see if the line trace actually hits something. If that's true, you want to check if whatever we hit is valid. Get is valid node. And then to get the actual hit actor, we're gonna break this, break hit result, expand, and then on the hit actor. So you want to check if we hit the actor we hit is even valid. And does object implement interface? So since we are tracing on visibility, which means it's gonna hit almost everything in the world. So if it hits something that is valid, it's then gonna check if the object implements the interface, which in this case is the BPI interaction. And then we're gonna branch this off. So if it's true, we can continue. So on the is valid. And then afterwards, you wanna make a new variable, which is called interaction actor of type actor, object reference, and we then set it. So again, drag out from hit actor, route node, and then we set, so we store the reference of what we just hit after it's checking if it's valid or not. So, and after this, you want to drag out again and say focused. So we can call the focus event. So since this will be fired on a timer that will loop each time, so every 0.1 of a second, this will be looping. And if it hits something, we can call it focus event, so that it's constantly checking if you're still looking at the object. So you can make a widget appear like your like with the object name, or there could be anything. For this example, we're gonna turn the mesh another color. So as soon as you're looking at it, it turns green. And if you stop looking at it, it then goes back to its normal. So you constantly check if you look at the object or not. Right, and also when these are not valid, for now I'm just gonna drag them here, attach them to each other, Because let's say you look at something else, you want to reset the interaction and reset everything back to normal. So I'm just going to make a function for that, which is called reset interaction, which is pretty simple. You just get out the interaction actor, convert to validated get, and then you just reset it to 0. So there's nothing saved anymore. And then on the trace actor, you want to attach it here to reset it, compile and save. And now let's get back to the event graph. Since this will not do anything when we play now, since we need to fire the event, we're going to drag off begin play, set timer by function name. And that's good to don't make spelling mistakes. I'm just going to copy the name. And then for time, 0.1 of a second. You can also do this on event tick, but yeah, I prefer to do it this way since it's a bit more optimized than using event tick. You can still do it since it's only one line trace, it won't be that much of an impact, but I would just prefer to do it this way. So just say time 0.1 of a second and then looping. And now we can already test this out. We just quickly make a, I think I didn't set this up. So in the actors, we also make a new actor, which will be type actor bp underscore interaction master. And then on this one, we're going to go to class settings, add this interface just like we did with the character. I'm going to add a static mesh of cube. And then just like the interface we added, you have these functions here. So you have focus and on interact. On interact we didn't make yet, so we're just going to test the focus out. And we're just using a print string to see if it actually registers or not. So we say heading cube. I'm going to drag in the scene. So it is quite a big cube, so let's me divide it here, so it's a bit better. Let's test it out. Oh, I noticed my character is still in 3D. It's a 3D character, so let me quickly change this. That's just to the mesh. Camera boom we don't need. That's just to the head. Reset the location. This is good. We say use spawn control rotation, same as this here. On Y. You can also have the debug on, so you know what's happening behind the scenes here for duration. And you see now it's just every 0.1 seconds it's shooting these ones out. And you see when I'm hitting the cube, it constantly says hitting. But I'm also noticing that it goes pretty far, which is not good. So let me check why that's not working correctly. And that's probably because I did a multiply as well, but that needs to be an add. So it doesn't go as far. So let's check it out again. You see now it's much better. It doesn't shoot out really far. So when I'm close, you see it's hitting cube. And it doesn't shoot out way against the wall right there. So that's my mistake there. But mistakes happen. So that's pretty good. So let's get on to the next one, which will be the interaction logic behind it. I think first it's good to set up the actual binding for it. So we go back to content, third person, input. We're just gonna copy the jump, duplicate, let's say interact, then add it to the IMC default, expand it, interact. I'm just gonna add one key binding for now, F. Okay, And let's make a new function on the component again called interact actor. Or you can call it prime and interact, whatever your preference is in this case. So on this, we're going to drag out the interaction actor again, checking if it's valid or not. If it is, we want to switch on the enumeration we've made. So you can set a variable in a mesh so you can build. I'm going to show you later what you can do with it. So you can select based on what you've set. So if it's an object you can inspect, it will fire the inspect. If it's just a native interaction object, which is called default, it will just fire the interaction event. So just going to add a new variable here. Just call it interaction type. And then for type, it's the enumeration made e_interaction type. I'm going to drag it out here. And then we say switch on. So we can switch on whatever variable we gave it. So for this one, I'm going to drag out default, print string. And this will be interact. And this will be inspect. Right. Let me remove this one so they don't interfere with each other. And then on the character, go to the event graph. And now let's get IA interact that we just made. And now for the component, you can drag out VPC interaction. And then on the started, you want to call the interact actor started. So whenever you interact, it fires this logic, so it will check if it's valid, and then checks whatever interaction type you've set it to. If it's interact, then we can call the on interact. So drag out and type on interact message, and then for the target, which will be the interaction actor, so the mesh that you're looking at and interacting with, and compile this. And then on the interaction master, remove focus for now. We say event on interact. I'm gonna use a print string for this one as well. And then we say interacting. Compile and save. All right, let's test it out. So it's not displaying anything, but as soon as I press F, you can see interacting. So it does a double because we also still have a print string on the actual enumeration afterwards. So if I press F, you see I'm interacting with this object. And if I switch this one to a inspect, you will then see I'm triggering the inspect. So normally you would then have a inspection system that will do the rest of the job and inspect the item itself. All right. And to show you how you can utilize the focus events, I will give a small demonstration of how you would do something like this. So go to the interaction master, double click focused, and then we're just going to make a simple material to change for the cube. Just do it in this one here real quick. Material m_green. I'm just going to make the color green here. Right, apply. Let's make this gray. And then on the focus event, what you do, drag out the static mesh, and then set material. And for this one will be the green one. I'm going to set it here. And then afterwards, we're going to make a re-triggerable delay for 0.2 second. I wouldn't recommend going any lower, because as my experience, if you go 0.1 or even lower, you will encounter some problems with it. So you should probably keep it on 0.2 of a second. And for this one will be the gray one we just did. So now, let me turn the debug off so it doesn't mess with it. Change this back to default. If you now go to the object, you can see it turns green. When I look away, it's back to normal. And when I press F, it says interacting. And when you look away again, it's just normal. Doesn't work with any other objects, just this one. So yeah, that's a pretty simple interaction system you could utilize in your own project. Yeah, and as I told you, it's very modular. So normally you only have to make this, add this to your character, get the camera from it, and that's pretty much yeah, that's a better way on how to make an interaction system without hard coding anything. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have more suggestions on what I should do next, I think it's probably good to go further into this so we can actually make an interaction widget and make this like into a better system. So yeah, let me know if you want to see that, or if you want to see something else, of course, let me know. If you want to have this project for your own, so you can see how I made this interaction system after I clean it up a bit, hit me on with Discord, and if there are multiple requests, I'll also upload it to my GitHub or make it accessible for you guys. So yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and see you on the next one.